Okay, Charlie, director extraordinaire. I've been going through your Instagram page, Charlie,
Hmm.
and I saw this picture. I don't know if you quite remember.
Which
Uh,
one? Oh,
I think a very
this one.
nice lady
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
a red, top and a chocolate in the
I saw
mouth,
this a very long time
bro.
ago.
Yeah, I can see because I was scrolling. It was just down there. I think it was the year 2016, bro.
Yeah.
The picture.
Wow.
I think this
Yeah,
picture is
2016.
ahead of its time. That
For real,
personally.
in fact, when I took that picture, I remember that I told myself, wow,
Wow.
how am I going to get this if I were to relocate myself to a different space to set it all up? Because it felt like it was just a test shot. I wouldn't lie. I had just planted, a couple of lights here and there. This is actually a three light setup.
Okay.
Okay, so what she sold is chocolate. So it was just a prop. I think we were close to February 14th, which is Val's Day. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
And I was just doing this. We used to do that a lot, photographers here in Ghana. We used to do a lot of conceptual photo shoot depending or pertaining to the occasion that was forthcoming.
Oh,
And this is exactly what I did for, just to try my hands on it. And I was new to Instagram. I think it was barely a year. So I needed to crank up my followership and also I needed to create something that was in vogue. And yeah, I would say out of doing just a test shot, I ended up with this beautiful photograph, which at that time I felt that it was actually ahead of me. I wouldn't lie.
yeah. I think I agree because the
Yeah,
picture is way ahead. Looking at
yeah,
the pictures you took
2016.
back in 2016,
Yeah,
this
2016.
this one is far ahead. So I do understand you're telling us that the concept was geared towards Val's Day,
Yeah, yeah, it was.
and now it's Chocolate Day, my brother.
That's how we call it now.
The girls
But
will be just worrying us, buy us chocolate, chocolate, chocolate.
not
Then
easy. Oh.
the most
Yeah.
funny aspect of it, they don't
Hmm.
want the garden chocolate too.
The ones which ones?
They want
The
the ones
exotic
that
ones. That's
cost.
very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we are supposed to actually, patronize Ghanaian made products. I mean,
Nice,
to me,
nice
the
one.
over there, I'm a metal Ghanaian way. I'm a King's
No,
Bite.
no, no.
Golden Tree.
We should eat our own.
Yeah.
And so what message did you want to convey with this photo?
Okay. Well, just as I said, it was geared towards Val's Day, and at that time, I was actually learning how to use certain effects with my lighting. I'm a
Okay.
sucker for lighting. I love contrast. That's why you actually see that the background is all dark, but in actual sense, the background was gray. But because I positioned my lighting configuration in such a way that light doesn't actually spill all the way beyond my subject to the background. That's why you see it this way. So it's all about the settings and everything. But I wanted to create separation to add, a complementary color, which is blue against the red. The red was just to actually, commemorate what she was wearing, as well as, the day that was forthcoming, which was Val's Day, which red actually signifies it. And, the blue was to complement, as I said. So I just positioned the light in here and there just to create that separation of the subject from the background and to give it that feel of love, feel of, you know, some sort of like relaxation against love and all that, anything that once you look at it, it tells you that this is basically about love. So that was actually the idea that I wanted to convey. But I was, essentially doing my best to practice what I had learned when it came to, you know, you know, pushing forward in photography, particularly lighting, what I had actually learned. I wanted to just foster it and, get myself to a particular level where I can know that, okay, if I have this light, I can utilize it as many as I can. If I'm exposed to three, four, five light setups, how I'm going to creatively use it to make it make sense, I'll go about with that. Because basically, when you start, you are always exposed to just one light setup.
Okay.
So as you grow, you try to challenge yourself with yet another light. But this was more challenging because I was working with three lights where I was supposed to make sure that my settings were all kind of like peculiar to what I wanted it to do. So the light setting, the blue and the red lights, I know that we're going to talk about that very soon concerning how I turned the color into what they are. The lights were hitting the side on the other side as well, just to separate her from the background. And these colors could actually carve it out better. So third light posed much more challenge, to creating this, because you have to make sure that this light is good in its intensity. The other is also perfect in its intensity. So once you're putting it across, I mean, with a little bit of post production, with its enhancement, you can get
Okay.
something beautiful like I did in that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I know you like to make everything, or you like to put everything together
Hmm.
concerning lighting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You are very peculiar about that.
I really am.
And when when it comes to the picture you created, um, looking at the props, looking
Yeah,
at the model,
yeah,
especially the model in question,
yeah,
the model who was in the picture.
yeah.
I want to know, how did you choose the model? Was it like she volunteered, or did you specifically choose her because of what you envisioned the picture to be, and
Okay.
also the props?
Yeah. Okay, and the props as well. Actually, she's a friend. She still is. And then, when you contact photographers who you wanted to, collaborate with, or models, most often than not, they want to look at your portfolio.
Okay.
And you might not necessarily at your starting point not have something potent enough to show, so you'd normally resort to your friends, and she happened to be your friends, and our female friends, they all love to take photographs.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a win-win situation, where she gets pictures, I also get to learn what I
Okay.
had studied, in terms of practice. So she's actually a friend. I called on her that I wanted to do this. I wanted a theme for Val's Day, and so yeah, she came through, and I actually got her to wear what she wore. I described what looks I wanted and what it was for, and also the prop. I got it along the way when I was coming through. This wasn't actually a studio setup. It was a makeshift studio. I'll put it that way, because it was a room. Ortega,
Okay.
our friends Ortega.
Shout
Back then,
outs to Tega.
yeah, back then when we were in school, yes, his room, we would always turn it into a photo studio to take pictures,
Okay.
because we were very enthused. We were more like fanatics for photography. So we would always want to replicate something we've seen in a studio form. We'll do it over there in his room. And that's why we did it. So the prop I got along the way, she came through, did a bit of makeup. I think she did her own makeup. And I think, yeah, I got her to wear red lipstick, a little bit glossy. Then we got the theme of the lighting to actually complement what she was wearing as well. And also, yeah, the blue tone to also give a little bit of contrast to just foster the look of it. Yeah. So the prop, the chocolate, chocolates comes with Val's Day. It's
Yeah.
all about love and all that.
Yeah.
Just as you said, it's now called what? Chocolate
Chocolate
Day.
day.
So
Chocolate
yeah,
day.
it was. I think looking at her skin tone,
Mm-hmm.
as against the properties of chocolates, I
Yeah.
realized that they actually conformed. And you notice that because it was in 2016 when I had started out,
Yeah.
I didn't really know so much about cleaning up so many stuff, because the chocolate itself, you realize that the prop wasn't cleaned out during post production. I didn't really touch it,
Yeah.
and I prefer to leave it that way even today, because I wanted to have it have that natural look. Even though I retouched her skin, I still feel like the chocolate should stay as it is, just like originally as you've taken it out of its package and all that. So that's all about getting a model as well as the prop for the shoot. Yeah.
That's great. I think she, per what you said, she also
Yeah.
helped a lot.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
Starting out as
It's
an
not
up and
easy at
coming
all getting these people
photographer.
to even buy into your idea that you want to take pictures and you want to look at your
But
portfolio. You
but
don't have
but that passion
anything
is
to
very
show.
rare nowadays.
In terms of, you mean models or
In terms of photography, when you would actually
organize a
take,
photo shoot?
yeah,
Yeah, you
organize a
seldom
photo
see that
shoot,
happening.
just do
Yeah.
that without looking for anything in return.
Oh, yeah, I get your point. I mean, many a time, I think during then, we were not so much exposed to YouTube that we could learn YouTube and information about photography,
Yeah.
lessons, tutorials, workshops were not as rampant before as against today. Because today it's easy for someone to just pick up a camera, watch a few videos on the camera, and just know how to shoot.
Okay.
Because it's just like wherever you go, you get to hear something about photography. And the more photographers were coming into the space, the better it was for people to understand photography even better. Because when you meet up at events, you see someone taking pictures with certain types of gear, you can just through observation look at the person and just know what to get for yourself next and try it out. When you don't understand it, it's easy for people to now go to the internet, just check for,
Yeah.
you know, information about whatever it is that's baffling their minds. They'll just easily get it. But then, even though information was over there where YouTube was actually available for us, we didn't necessarily know as much how to go search for it during that. I remember it was not until 2017 when a lot of people were interested in doing photography, as
Okay.
far as I am concerned.
Oh yeah.
Because in 2017, that was when I graduated undergrad, chemistry. And then cameras were quite expensive, but people had been able to save up to buy cameras because during graduation, that's when people actually see it as a cash cow to
Yeah.
make money. So people would some will go rent the cameras. Most photographers will, go buy it,
Yeah.
low end cameras. As long as the pictures turn out good, then I think most photographers were learning how to retouch. You see them buying tutorials, buying presets here and there, watching tutorials, attending workshops, and people were really much looking for information that was so difficult to find. But now, most photographers just get it easily because they know how to easily access the information. It's actually everywhere.
Yeah.
You get me? On Instagram, once you go to Instagram, there's definitely a creator talking about something about photography. It gets
YouTube.
you informed on YouTube. It gets you informed here and there.
Yeah.
It's very easy to access that. And that has actually turned photography to become something that I think is so today is very easy to understand as a venture or even as being a hobbyist. You can easily learn photography. And in that particular lane, most photographers wouldn't necessarily organize photo shoots. That's why you see a ton of people or a ton of people entering photography doing weddings right away. Yeah, that's the reason.
That's
Yeah.
true. So now let's talk about lighting.
Okay.
With reference to the picture we are reviewing,
Mm.
let's talk about lighting. So I want to know the challenges you faced in bringing out the lighting, the best fits lighting system you use to achieve this gorgeous
Yeah,
photograph.
like I said, normally I will use one lighting configuration where it'll be just a softbox with a speed light shooting through it. It can be, a Rembrandt lighting, butterfly. I could position it anywhere, even side lighting and all that, just to try out my hands over there. But this time around, I needed my subject to be uniformly lit. Then I would have much more separation. First of all, I said that I didn't want the light to actually spill against the background. And so what I did was I got my subject to stand a little bit of a distance away from the background. Then the light wouldn't necessarily depend on the size of the softbox. I can't really remember. Was it an 85 centimeter softbox? I think so, which wasn't very big. And so light spillage wasn't going to be so much of an issue.
Okay.
So my subject had to move, a little bit away from the background to ensure that it doesn't spill. Then I had two more speed lights. But then strobes, pocket strobes, which are speed lights, were what we could actually afford before until we were able to accumulate enough funds to purchase the more sophisticated strobes like the 8600 BM today that most photographers use. Um, Photo had their strobes as well and all that, but we were more in tune with the Yongnuo speed lights, which were quite affordable for us at that particular level. We got them, and that's exactly what I used. I had three of them. I didn't own all three. I owned one, then I got the two from friends. Then I positioned it. Then I used gels, colored gels,
Okay.
which gives me that color because the flashes themselves don't come with color. So if I wanted to turn the color into blue or red as you see it in the picture, I positioned or I placed gels, colored gels, which are translucent colored shoot through film, rubber. It comes in a lot of forms. Some come in plastics. This particular one was a very cheaper one. I went for the cheaper option where it was just a strip of flexible plastic card, placed in front of the speed light. So once the light shoots through, it picks on the color of the gel. It goes through. So I had the red and the blue placed in front of the two speed lights to the left and the right side of my model. But it wasn't directly to his to her sides, but it was a little bit away, sending a little bit towards the back of her head a little bit, so that the light would actually hit and kiss just a slit over there, not spill away or across her face. So the positioning of the light also matters a whole lot when you are going for such an effect. I mean, with lighting, you have to play a whole lot with it. You cannot just get it right and right there and there.
Yeah.
And because these are not continuous lights where you can actually see the light, you have to flash, take a shot, flash, you take a look at the picture, you flash again, you take a look at the picture over and over again until you get what you are looking for. Today, it's easy to do photography with some cameras that have good dynamic range, good color rendition, that you can even use continuous lights, which are significantly lower in power output
Okay.
against the flash, because the flashes, they go one quick burst, it goes on and off, and the power that it outputs is really strong. But you can use continuous lights alike, just that the power output wouldn't be the best. But using cameras that are being manufactured or that are being let onto the market today, you can still go ahead and crank up your ISO and maximize a little that you have. But I mean, the flashes are always the best option, just that you wouldn't see what you're shooting, especially with the speed lights. It doesn't come with any model lights or whatsoever. So once you flash, you check it, and if it's not the right intensity you want, you tune, you take a shot again until you get it right. Yeah.
And from a lighting aspect,
Yeah.
Kobbyshots, he really likes to experiment with lighting. Me, I've
Oh,
seen
hold
him.
on.
He likes his lighting, and
Mhm.
he has a particular way of doing it. If you pay close attention to his works, if you see the lights, you say, "Oh, this one there, Akwaya, is him. He is him." So, I also want to know, why did you choose a black background
Okay.
as opposed to a colored one for the picture?
Okay. Personally, it actually, at that time, I'll speak for me being in that time. I was trying to separate my subject from my background, and that was the makeshift background we could have, all right, or I could have. And so having it as a choice wasn't necessarily predetermined, but because I didn't want the light to spill against the background, and with the settings that I had input in there, it turned my background darker than it actually is. Because as I said from the start, the background was actually gray. It was gray painting on the wall. It's actually a wall, just like you see in the background over there.
Yeah.
And because the light wasn't hitting it, depending on the settings that I input in the camera, I was able to have it even darker because light wasn't hitting that background. And from that test shot, I realized it was good because I could have also spilled lights against the background with a color, and it will equally give me a different color for the background. But when I positioned the lights, because I was using three lights and they were already functional wherever they were, the background wasn't a problem for me. So it turning black wasn't because I necessarily chose it at that time, but was because light wasn't actually hitting that particular part of the studio or of the space. But I just liked how it turned out because I always tell people starting out in photography that no photograph is a mistake until you, the one who shot it, deems it so. Because if you take a picture and you like it as it is, you can defend it when someone asks you, why did you do it this way? Why did you do it that way? Because most often than not, you realize photographers are always trying to expose the background equally with the subject. I like to go with darks. Someone would like to blow out their backgrounds because they want to reduce the distractions back there in the background. So it's a personal choice. It's a personal creative choice. So that's the reason why I chose to leave it as it was and not to touch the background with any color. Yeah.
Okay. So, if may I ask,
Yeah.
if it was to be now
Mm.
that you are retaking that picture,
hmm
would you also consider a colored background?
In fact, I would love to rather shoot this particular photograph again outdoor and not indoor.
Okay.
Yeah, where I could have more creative options in my background, where I can just reposition my subject and my background looks different depending on where I'm pointing the camera and everything. I wouldn't, I don't think I would go for a studio setup because personally, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I prefer to shoot pictures outdoor because the world is actually a canvas. And wherever you turn your subjects to, wherever you point the camera, depending on what angle you choose, it always changes your background a little bit. The elements in the background will change, the elements in the frame, the composition you choose. The moment you shift something little, it changes the form of it. And I prefer it that way. Unlike in the studio, you have to position things as you wish. And if you're looking for a particular look, you have to position your light in that way. But with outdoor, there are endless possibilities. So I would have shot this picture out in an outdoor setting where I can have more creative control with my setup. Yeah.
Great. I think that would be a very wonderful idea.
Yeah. I think I'll recreate it. I'll recreate it probably for upcoming year.
We need the same picture.
Yeah.
This picture. If you're supposed to recreate it, then we'll be expecting a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to know
Yeah.
how you achieve the balance between the highlights on the skin and the shadows.
Okay, so it was a softbox that I used as my key light and for modifying my key light. So the softbox will give me a smooth wrapping effect around my subject where there wouldn't be too much contrast. Mind you, first of all, my subject is a dark skinned model. And so if the light is not a little bit more in output, you have her seeping into the background because already the background is dark and her skin tone is dark.
Yeah.
And so I had to ensure that the light was as close as possible to her, even though I wasn't making it hit the background.
Yeah.
And because it was that close to her, a little bit of an output would illuminate her enough. So because it was a soft box with diffusion materials in there, two diffusion films, the light shoots through it, it diffuses it, it reduces the intensity, and it also makes it soft in the sense that it doesn't cast too many shadows. All right. But I used the butterfly configuration, which is the light was just right above her forehead a little bit, so that it casts the light downwards. It hits her, even though there will be some shadows under the eyes and under the bridge of the nose. You still see it to be soft and not as harsh because I shot it through a modifier that softened the light. So that's how the balance actually happened, where it wasn't a harsh light. You can see that every detail is in there and the position of the light. Every photographer can actually determine where the key light was positioned. If you look at it, we have different configurations. Wherever the light is coming from, you can even look at it from where the shadows fall, because the opposite side is always where the shadow is going to fall. All right. So here it was just right above her head, and it was a smooth blend from highlights to shadows as well.
Okay. Yeah. Nicely done. So we'll be moving into the technical details of the picture. I know when our viewers or anybody who comes across this picture will be like, hey, the picture there. Hey Joe, it's very nice. I think probably the person shot it with a very good camera, but I know that the camera is as good as the one operating it, the photographer. So I want to know, what camera did you use and the lens? I know most of our viewers out there who also want to know what type of camera you used and the lens that you used to get this beautiful picture.
Okay, I think in 2016, then that means I had gotten my hands on my 50mm 1.8 lens. But I remember I always leave the details. Then I would always leave the details to the gear I used under the caption of the picture and I posted on Instagram. So if my memory serves me right, I shot on the Nikon D5100. That was a camera I got hands on in 2015. Wow. Yes, can't get to see of my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was using that to practice, and I used the 50mm. So I'm pretty sure it was that particular setup. Yeah, that's the camera setup I used. Nikon. Yeah, Nikon D5100. Yeah.
somebody will just think the picture was being taken by a current camera.
Really?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But
Yeah, I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, the picture is beautiful, and
Mm.
somebody would just say it's unreal that it was taken with that
In fact, I
camera.
remember when I uploaded it, one of my classmates then, because I was in school, was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He uploaded me and said that, yeah, the picture is really good because he saw something new. And I couldn't actually, I don't think I would be able to replicate it at that point, at that time, if I would have the setup because it was just a test shot and it just turned out right. So that's the reason why I always tell these youngsters that, Charlie, whenever you're doing photography, it's experimental. Don't wait until you get a client to call on you to come do something for them. You can just as well set up something and shoot, practice, trial and error. You understand certain things that probably haven't actually put your mind to do. So yeah, that's exactly how it ended up. Yeah.
Oh. From Kobbyshots. These are not my words. Practice,
Yeah, more practice.
practice,
Mm-hmm.
more trials and errors,
Yeah,
and you will have that beautiful shot
you
you've
learn
always
from them
wanted.
that way.
So let's move on now. Yeah, Bejiapo. Yes. uh, if you could remember,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell us the settings with regards to the
Uh,
aperture, the shutter speed, and the rest?
okay. I might not be able
If
to accurately tell you.
okay,
However, looking at it, I can look at every photographer can look at a picture and can determine certain things depending on if you have access to a blurry background or something. You can determine the focal length, the distance of the subject to the camera, depending on your information that you have. But looking at it, I've already made mention of the 50 mm 1.8, and at that point I would always shoot everything at 1.8 because why would I purchase a lens that
yeah,
can open as wide as 1.8 and I wouldn't shoot at that point? You get me? So I would definitely shoot at 1.8 and focal length 50 mm. My aperture, yeah, 1.8. The flash power, I definitely my key light had more flash power than the flashes that were on the left side and the right side, which are the rim light, the blue and the red. Um, Definitely will be 1/4 power from the speed light. And mind you, these speed lights didn't do anything HSS. So my skin tones, I just dialed it in. I increased vibrance and a couple of things. Today, because most speed lights even come, which are more affordable, come with the feature of HSS, which is high speed sync, which gives a little bit of a punch to the pictures because now you can shoot beyond the regular sync speed that the camera sync with the usual, you know, flashes. So I
yeah,
can go beyond 1/200th of a second and still be able to shoot the pictures without having some parts of the pictures not turning black. You get me?
okay,
Because when your sync speed is low, or you have your shutter speed really fast and your flash doesn't sync with it, there are some areas, most often than not, below the image. You realize that the image sensor couldn't capture the light fast enough
okay,
because the shutter speed was really fast. Yes. So definitely believe that I shot with a very harsh power. So definitely that would be like 1/1, which is full power from that flash. It wasn't very strong enough, but I was able to ensure that the light that was hitting my subject was good enough that I could dial it down and not have it hit my background. Yeah,
okay.
so that's what I can say about the settings. If my memory once again serves me right.
Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate the fact that you'll be
Mm.
able to give us something out of it because
Yeah.
some of us will be watching this and will be like, hey, picture here is very nice. Let's
Yeah.
see the settings because a lot of people are very particular about settings.
Yes, for
That's
sure.
why you mentioned earlier, people will just go and buy presets and things
Mm-hmm.
because somebody will want to know the actual settings you made
Yeah.
to compare to his or her own settings.
Yeah.
Yes, plus and minus and
Mm.
multiplications will help us, arrive at our own
For
formulas.
sure.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I also want to know in terms of the creative process,
Okay.
working with models,
Mm.
especially getting them on sets and also directing them. Is it, do you always, as the photographer, do you always have to direct the model in a specific way you want her to pose, or professionally they do know and they ought to know what they are about if given the concept of the photography?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you are working with your friends, trust me, you're gonna be the one to direct them through and through. Because most of them they will just tell you, "I don't know what I'm gonna do, so direct me." But if you have a budget for an actual model or a professional model, if I should put it that way, you can book a professional model from agencies
Okay.
where these models are actually groomed for photography, for video, for all that. So you have little to nothing to do about, when it comes to posing or getting them ready, because they would definitely ask for the concept or the mood board where they will understand the colors you're going to work with. If you're going to shoot in the studio, if you're going to shoot in outdoor. Sometimes some models can even tell you the kind of lenses that actually work with them and all that, because they themselves they actually learn. Yeah, the models themselves they learn, they prepare. They are more like they have to understand photography to be able to stand in front of a camera or work with a photographer, so that when the photographer uses terminologies and all that, they will be able to comprehend and follow suit, so that the photo shoot will be a smooth one. So personally, when I started out, obviously I'll go with my friends, like I said, even with this photograph we are talking about. um my friend, so I had to just direct it through and through. But as I advanced forward, I had access to professional models, and I realized the difference where I didn't have to even say so much. You would just tell them what you're looking for, they'll give you the poses, and you just click, 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 and you have wonderful pictures. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we are also going to ask about
Mm.
how you arrive at your final shots. So was it something like um you knowing that, oh, I'll do this, then I get it, or was it, as you said, the trial and error? You took lots of them, and how long did it take for you to arrive at
This picture.
your final shot?
Okay, so I think we had already started the photo shoot with a single lighting configuration. I remember, because I have a behind the scenes. I don't know if I can provide that. Yeah, it's quite unfortunate I couldn't get behind the scenes for this particular photograph. Yeah, it always hits me hard that much. But we didn't take too many because I
Yes.
had already dialed in my key light. I only positioned my speed lights, and from all the trial and errors that I had done way before, even before the day that we had this photo shoot, I knew that if I'm using, other lights, like for the purpose of REM lighting, like the red and the blue light you see over there,
Yeah.
where I carve the subject out of the background with, I always knew that I would have to dial it down. I think it was second nature to me to always make sure that my key light was stronger
Okay.
in output. So I remember that I dialed it down a little bit. And when I took the picture, I think I took three, because for sure, I'm trying to remember a couple of things, because for sure one would definitely be more in output depending on the distance of the light planted next to the subject,
Very true.
because the distance of the light to the subject alters or influences the intensity of output that you see against the subject. So if it's too close, you know that's going to be brighter. If it's quite further, comparatively, it wouldn't be as strong. So I think with my setting, once it was dialed in, all I had to do was to reposition my lights. And if I had positioned the rim lights way too far away to turn it towards the subject, it will turn it much more towards the camera. And that will give me some flares. Because if the lights are positioned right behind the subject this way, you'll be compelled to turn it this way a little bit.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will hit the background. So you want it away from the background. So you turn it this way. And if you're not careful, you might shoot directly into the lens. And that will create, flares. But if that's the creative style you're going for sure. Because we have filters that you can use, put in front of your lenses to even enhance the looks of the flares that you're even creating.
Okay.
So nothing is a mistake until you deem it so, like I said before. So yeah, I remember that I didn't have to take too many pictures before I could arrive at this particular preferred shot. Yeah,
Okay.
because we had already started, and I just put it in there, just placed it there, I gave the prop to it, and I made sure that just a couple of clicks. So probably I might have taken like maybe 3 pictures or so.
Wow.
And yeah, just that, and just with the positioning of the lights, making sure that they had the right spots. I made her stationary, and I took the shots.
So, by my own calculation, I think it took you about less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. To get all the shots that I took. Yeah, less than 10 minutes. And I remember Ortega wanted to take some more too, because yeah, we had. In fact, there was another shoot that we did with the same lighting configuration, and yeah, I'll share that picture because I still have it. It's actually right now. Yeah, the audience is seeing it. So we still use the same lighting configuration because I was just so much in love with the shots, and that I had to get another friend to stand in there with another prop. I think it was a stuffed animal, a bunny. Yes, and we took that picture, and it turned out great.
That's great. That's great.
Mm.
So, there was another, another advice for all the people out there, aspiring photographers, and up and coming people who are also into modeling and photography. Kobbyshots is saying, it's not me. He said, no photo that you've taken is a mistake until you deem it a mistake.
Yeah.
If you can only explain and you like your pictures,
Yeah. Once you can defend it, you're good to go.
You are the only one who matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. How much effort? How much? When I talk about efforts, I'm looking at money. I'm looking at time.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the factors that will come together, to fuel this setup. So how much effort went into planning to get this setup going?
I think all the efforts came from the months, the weeks of practice. I realized that I didn't have to do so much because I had already replicated this a lot of times, this particular setup. But the only inclusion here was that I added gels. All right. Because I would go for a 3-light setup, but I wouldn't add lights. I wouldn't add a modifier like a gel to change the color. It would always be the normal bare flash like that. Sometimes maybe with a strip box or another soft box for a softer rim light. But because of the series of practice that I had already done prior to this shoot, not too much effort went into it. That's why I always admonish photographers to give it a try every time. Sometimes you don't even have to organize a photo shoot. You can put a dummy there. You can position a mannequin. Just take pictures with the mannequin. The mannequin is an inanimate object. It wouldn't grow tired. For as long as you want to shoot, you can keep on trying it out. So when you get a chance to shoot a human being, you would have gotten yourself to a point where you wouldn't spend too much effort trying out all this, because people can read into it and notice that you don't know what you're doing, especially when you are committing so many mistakes. And even with how you react to your picture when you've taken it tells a lot about how the picture might have ended up. And now you might get your model insecure that they might think they are the reason why the picture didn't turn out great, and they'll lose the confidence in themselves, and if you're not even careful, perhaps in you, the photographer. So practice a lot of times on your free time. So I remember that I didn't do so much, not too much effort went into this because I had already done it a couple of times, and so it was just position and just replicate what I've already done before.
What you said earlier about letting your models lose confidence in themselves. What you said takes me back. You see, when we were kids, then we will take you to these people who take passport pictures of us. And they will take a very horrible picture of you and be like, hey, is this me? Even today, some people are out there taking horrible pictures, passport pictures. You look at them like,
you marvel.
So I also want to know that with all the efforts
Yeah.
that went into get achieving that setup for
Mm.
the photo, um, was there let's say a conflict between that and you say spontaneous creativity on in the studio
Mm.
when you were actually taking the pictures?
I think for the most times that I had done anything studio, I always use the butterfly lighting configuration. So that was what I had decided to already do. So once I went there, I just positioned it this way. And the rim lights, the only difference was that I had started using gels. So I started out with the normal, flash just like that without any kind of modification. It was just bare
Okay.
flash like that. And I just wanted to change things up. I had bought this cheap, rubber flexible sheets of
Okay.
colored rubber like that. Yeah. So just wanted to give it a try
Mm-hmm.
and I just put it there. So that was the only thing that actually changed. But I had already determined that I wanted to use colors. Yes. So before I had planned, yes, I had planned to use all red. So left and right. But something prompted me that why don't I use complementary color? Because I mean in graphic design we've learned about complementary colors. And these colors are actually primary colors. However, they are on the opposite sides where
Okay.
the red suggests heat, something hot. Then the blue will go for the calm and the cold. All
Cool.
right.
Okay.
So I wanted to just give it a try, and it just turned out great because for some reason I even added some text to the picture. I added
Okay.
some text where I wrote chocolates something, yeah, and I added some squares, put them together, tile them up like that to suggest the chocolates, pattern. And yeah, it just turned out good. So I had already determined that I wanted to use colored gels, but I hadn't decided what colors I was going to use until I set it up. I planted the red light, shot it, and I was like, why don't I add a blue light to just just give it a try? Because of course that's the space where I can feel comfortable and confident to perform that trial and error because it's just a friend who's helping me out and she's going home with a couple of images. And I was confident that I could get the pictures even before positioning the gels over there because I knew that this is what I would always go for or like my go to setup.
Okay.
But, changing the lighting decision in terms of the gels inclusion was what actually changed. Yeah. In terms of what
Great.
I had already pre planned. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So I know you are the type of person.
Mm,
Whenever you have a camera in your hand, you like to envision your shoots.
yeah.
Yeah. Before you even come out with whatever you've taken
Yeah.
with the camera. So I also want to know uh what was your goal during post production?
Okay. So with post production, what I was going to definitely do was to, enhance the skin texture, polish the skin to make it smooth because you didn't really apply so much makeup. And the usefulness of makeup is to blend the skin tones and actually change maybe certain things, cover blemishes, change the shape of the nose to make it better because you can always do that way
Okay,
because you can actually apply makeup to look like someone else
true.
depending on how you shape the nose. These facial features are what gives us how we look like. So that was what I had planned to do to just smoothen the skin tones. And also after the retouching I would add a bit of vibrance to the already existing lights because I remember the red and the blue were not actually popping the way they are in the picture. The raw images had it raw, but the colors were there. But I actually added a bit more vibrance, so I pushed the sliders, and intensified the colors. So it wasn't too much. Already, my background was dark, so I remember because I love contrast, I'll definitely push the contrast slider as well and increase the highlights to make the skin tone pop and increase the vibrance of the skin tone as well. The skin has colors of reds, magenta, orange, yellow as well. I just push it that way. And most definitely, I'll also clean the eyes the eyeballs and make it a little bit more white. And if she were to be smart, I think there's one picture has her biting into the prop, biting into the chocolate.
Yeah.
So I also whitened the teeth as well. So that's basically what I did with post production. I intensified, or should I say, I enhanced the vibrance
The vibrance of
of the overall
the
image.
overall
But I
image,
selectively paid more attention to,
the red and the
some
blue.
parts of the picture
Yeah.
what that needed, tweaking
Okay.
as far as I was concerned. Yeah.
Now let's come to my favorite part:
Mm.
color grading. My brother, color grading.
Yeah.
So what's when it comes to color grading? I know everybody though has his or her own way of interpreting colors,
Yeah.
how they blend, how they spread out, how they are being put together to make meaningful, let's say outcome.
Yeah.
So with you, I want you to share your view on
Mm.
color grading.
Okay, so color grading is basically the inclusion of or introduction of different colors into areas that don't necessarily have them existing, in the sense that you enhance the look of it by adding some colors into, the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights, because that's what pictures are segregated into: shadows, highlights, and midtones. So you can push certain colors selectively into the shadows, into the highlights, or into the midtones likewise. And whatever I do with my pictures, I make sure that contrast is not clipping too much, even though I can have a lot of contrast. But if I'm introducing colors like blues or greens into my shadows, because I find myself mostly doing that, and pushing yellows, a little bit of the oranges in there in the highlights a little bit. But you make sure that you don't do it too much that it's surreal, because I've found some photographers have a creative choice of always going overboard. To them, probably might not look overboard, but looking at different displays that your audience might look at the picture from,
Yeah,
could be their phone, and sometimes television sets can have different displays. It
true.
alters the output of the color in their eyes. So what I always do with my color grading is that I've created a preset. I've even shared it on my YouTube channel, and I have it down in the description, and there are a lot of videos over here. I would even add it down there.
Great.
So if you are interested in how I color grade, you can go check it out and
You
download it
can
and
get
use it.
it.
Yeah, but
Just
as at that point, 2016, when I did this, when I shot this picture, I didn't know. I don't think I was even using Lightroom. It was all Photoshop. So everything I did was color correction. There's a difference between color grading and color correction. Where the color correction is when you are correcting certain colors, you are intensifying the vibrance of certain colors, already existing colors in the picture.
okay.
But with the color grading, you are rather
Introducing
adding
them.
or introducing colors into places that didn't exist before. Yes. So the color correction can correct the color. You can perform color correction on the picture by virtue of increasing the exposure, the highlights, increasing the contrasts. There are sliders there for color correction.
Okay.
Then when it goes to the color grading, you can use my presets to just put it out there and do some couple of tweaks to make the picture look real to the eye. Yes. So that's what I do today. That's what I perform on my pictures anytime I capture them. Now I use Lightroom most often than not for color grading before I go ahead into Photoshop to, enhance it even further. Because in Photoshop, before, what I did with color grading was using the color balance layers and using the sliders where I could have access to my midtones, to my highlights and my shadows, pushing magenta, cyan, greens, wherever I wanted them to be. I was kind of like boxed, or should I say I was limited to just those few sliders until I started using Lightroom, where I bought some presets. I created my own. Sometimes I'll modify certain presets that I had bought to give me a creative style for the look of my pictures. And that's how I ended up with my custom color grading that a lot of people admire, that I've shared it along a lot of my videos that people really love to use.
Great,
Yeah.
great. So if you are watching us, still the word underlined is experiments,
Yeah.
experiments, and experiments.
For sure.
Yeah, and you get there.
Yeah, for sure.
So My final question
Mm.
for the day.
Yeah.
So I want to know,
Yeah.
in your own view, how do you decide that an image is finished?
Okay. If it's my picture and I'm the client, okay,
Tell us.
it is only finished when I look at it and I feel like, yeah, it looks good, because
Mm-hmm.
someone might want you to, you know, retouch their skin and polish it to a particular degree. I might not want to go that way, because mostly it takes out the realism from the picture. For instance,
Okay.
if I'm retouching um, a person, sometimes I take a picture and I don't even have to retouch it at all. Yeah, I can decide, I can choose to leave it as it is. But when I am retouching, I don't do too much. If my color grading is just right, I'm good enough to go. Because I realized something at the point. When a picture is taken as raw and when it's color graded well, you realize
Yeah.
that everybody will go for the color graded picture.
Yeah.
So then it dawned on me that, why do I always see certain pictures like it's taken just out of random, but it looks so good when you look at them? And that's because of color grading. So I realized that I don't always have to
Retouch.
overthink my pictures.
Okay.
I don't have to always polish the skin tones of my models. I don't always have to push the sliders way too far to just pop the vibrance and all that. Sometimes I have to do something subtle to get the picture looking the way it's supposed to look. So it's how I feel about the picture is what will let me know that this picture looks complete or not. So I don't necessarily have anything that I do to always enhance it, but depending on how the picture looks. But sometimes the picture can look sharpened already, so I don't have to even apply sharpening, because
Yeah.
mostly I apply sharpening to some of my pictures depending on where I'm going to disseminate the image. If it's going to end up on YouTube, it's going to end up on any social
Instagram.
media platform like Instagram per se. There's a way that I export the images, but I always add some bit of sharpening, because these softwares or these platforms kind of like compresses the pictures a little bit. So if you sharpen it, it holds its sharpness and quality a little bit more. So these are some of the things that I do to ensure that my picture looks complete in my regard. But on the flip side, if it's meant for a client, then what a client wants is exactly what I do. But of course, a client will hire you for a project if they like what you're doing already. Because why would they even call on you in the first place? It's
Okay.
because they've looked up at your work and they like your personal style.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
if they want something more, then they can add on for you to just, make those tweaks. But I feel like every photographer has a sweet spot for every image that they are, retouching. Where once it gets to that point, they know that this picture looks complete, and we all have we all have ours. So yeah, that's what I can say about that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
If it's good to your eye,
Yes.
then it's
Then
a
it's
well
completed.
finished image.
Image.
So viewers, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, because this is an image that, I mean, it's been there in my portfolio for a long time. People ask me about, yeah,
Yeah.
this picture and all that. Like 2016, yeah, back there. Back there. It's
The
been a long time till now.
the
It's almost a
image
decade, right?
is yeah, the image is
Yeah,
way
thank you so
nicer than
much.
this time. It's ahead of its time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we
I
want
really
to
appreciate
see
it.
lots of images like that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I actually enjoyed this interview where I get to talk about my picture. I think we can do that as often as possible, where
Yeah.
we can introduce more photographers and can discuss their pictures and their thought process
Yeah.
behind how they ended
Of
up
course.
with that image. Yeah,
I can't wait for
yeah,
a
yeah,
redo of the picture at outdoors. So,
yeah, for sure. Recreation of that image, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that for come Val's Day next year. I'll do
Oh,
that
it's
for
not
that.
so far.
Not too
So
far
yeah,
away. Yeah,
we wait for that one.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
You're
We'll
welcome.
catch you next time, the next video.
Catch you
Have a
next
wonderful
time.
day. See ya.